watch Paul Skenes pitch and you wonder to yourself, you can't help but wonder to yourself, what's he think of these guys? Like, what's he think of these people running this team into the ground? Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Skenes finished, I'm sure this was as predictable to everyone as his winning the Rookie of the Year award. He finished third in the Cy Young voting last night behind the very much expected and deserving winner, Chris Sale, and then in turn behind Zach Wheeler. Just being nominated when you didn't even have a full season in the majors is an honor beyond belief. And it's to Skenes' inestimable credit, arguably more credit than he would get for the award that he won, that he was sitting virtually with these three guys on the MLB Network broadcast last night in these side-by-side boxes, carried himself with class, said how much he appreciated sitting with Sale in the National League dugout during the All-Star game. You could tell he was moved. He appeared to me to be more moved by this than by winning the Rookie of the Year. And amid all of this rightful hubbub over these two awards and Skenes being seen and heard everywhere, I have a feeling that it might have gotten lost, maybe it didn't for all of you, but for some, that Skenes had a rare remark about the state of the team, meaning the Pirates, and even about the state of their management. I'm going to read this to you in full. He was talking about the 2025 Pirates, expressed optimism in saying, and I quote directly, "We have a really good core in our starting rotation, and I think we have a really good core in the lineup, too. We have an opportunity to get the guys that we have better, and that's something that I'm bought in on, and I know our front office and our coaching staff are bought in on as well. The coaching staff hires that we made so far are really good, I think. I've heard really good things about Matt Haig, that's the new hitting coach, and I got to meet Brent Strom, that's the new assistant pitching coach, at the All-Star game, and he's a legend already in this game as well. You can say as much as you want about wanting to compete and wanting to win, but doing it and being intentional and conscious with it are two different things. I think we're on the right track there." End quote. Okay, so don't say that I cherry-picked or whatever else. That's the entire quote. That's everything. Now, you better believe I'm going to attempt to pick it apart, because what he's saying there is he's bought in. He actually uses the term, it's something that I'm bought in on. He says, we have an opportunity to get the guys that we have better. That's a Ben Cheringtonism. Cherington says that all the time, says it to everybody, says it to his manager, to the coaches, to everybody around him at 115 Federal. And apparently he has said it within earshot of Skenes. He is bought in on this, that what they're going to do is to get their guys better. So the first thing that Skenes references as it relates to the 2025 season is that the Pirates have players in his mind, including in the lineup, who just need to get better. Now, I really like this kid, all right? And I'm not going to say anything negative about him. If you think I'm about to, you're going to be disappointed. He's young, comes from a military background, says, yes, sir. That's very much who he is personality-wise. Doesn't mean he doesn't come with his own edge, and it doesn't mean he doesn't come with his own sense of leadership and independence and everything else. But a lot of you had asked over the final month or final 6 weeks, why isn't he saying something? The obvious answer is that he's a rookie. But the other answer is that he's kind of got that good soldier, no pun intended, element to him. It's not a negative. See, I totally avoided anything negative there. Now, then there was this part of this general response. Quote, you can say as much as you want about wanting to compete and wanting to win, but doing it and being intentional and conscious with it are two different things. I don't think anybody asked him about whether or not they want to compete or want to win. He brought that up. That was a him thing. Now, whether he's referring in general, because this session was done with local members, the Pittsburgh chapter of the Baseball Writers Association of America, and I'm sure he's aware of the intensive criticism that's come from all corners, not least of which is because he's been around here a lot in the off season. There's no way he hasn't picked up on it. But for him to bring that up I thought that was pretty striking. I thought just that alone made me feel as if he's aware. He's aware of the bigger picture and that he cares about the bigger picture. He's not just there to pile up awards for himself or to see how awesome he can be someday for the Dodgers. You can say as much as you want about wanting to compete and wanting to win. Doing it and being intentional and conscious with it are two different things. My friends, they have Skenes on their side, but they're going to need to show results to keep it that way. That's what I think. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstorage.check.org. That's gunstorage.check.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Steve, who, in reference to yesterday's show about the Pirates not protecting anyone from the Rule 5 draft, Steve responds, no mention of Billy Cook or Nick York. Both needed to be protected from this year's Rule 5 draft, and both were protected by being added to the 40-man in September. Yes, that's correct, Steve. And both are of the age where they could still reasonably be considered prospects. A little old for prospects, but not too old. They're not out-prospected. They're not 4A or anything like that. And they showed, at least in AAA, they can hit. And yes, they were protected. And yes, you're only making my argument for me, my man. My argument is that they've done nothing to build up this system. Certainly not internally. Both Cook and York were acquired at the trade deadline. They came from other people's systems. Cook's 25, for crying out loud, and he came up through the Baltimore system. And he's tended to hit well there, and the Orioles have had more than their share of hitters make it to the bigs. But this is part of why they're good at developing the hitters that they get. York's a good bit younger at 22, and he was seen in the Boston system as someone who was maybe stunted at least a little bit. But he, too, emerged elsewhere. He was raised through the Red Sox system. And if you're looking for a hitter who came up through the Pittsburgh system, and I'm going to remind everybody that the people in charge have been in charge for 5 full years, the total count is 1. Nick Gonzalez, first-round pick, 7th overall. And being honest here, as much admirer of Gonzalez's work as I became in 2024, both on and off the field. I really thought he asserted himself in a lot of ways, including defensively, which I had not seen coming. I still don't know that anyone would look at Nick and say, okay, yeah, he's cemented. He's the second baseman for now and for the future. I don't know that anybody would do that. It's not going to be like it was last spring where you just, threw 5 guys into a barrel and waited for the first one to fall out at that position. It's going to be Gonzalez's position to start 2025, but I don't know that you have him completely entrenched. But yes, he's the one. They have won in 5 years. One. Uno for the Spanish speakers among us. Un, if we have any French-speaking hockey fans. You get the idea. Okay, they're so bad at acquiring and then developing talent internally that not only is there a dearth of these types of players in Pittsburgh, but there aren't any in Indianapolis, and there really isn't a big hitter in Altoona either. I know there are still hopes for Termarr Johnson. I know that Connor Griffin, the most recent first-round pick, is down at the lower levels, but that's it. That's it. Offense isn't everything in baseball, but it also isn't nothing. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. Going to do another one of these tomorrow.